Hey there, it's Lara here with this week's Witchy Wednesday weekly astrology video. And this is for the week of May 23rd, which is today, to the 30th, 2018. So these videos go from Wednesday to Wednesday. If you've never checked one out before, that's how it works. So thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Really appreciating all the support in terms of, comments and shares and likes and emails and Facebook messages and that kind of thing. I do appreciate it. So please know that every little bit helps. I know sometimes people have this idea of, well, what difference does that make kind of thing, but in the social media world where you're trying to kind of spread your message, right? And this is what I do for a living, so this is my livelihood. That is really helpful. So I do appreciate it. And, you know, the other thing I want to say before I go into the reading is that, oops, just jostled the camera, sorry. I've heard from a few people, you know, that, and I mean, this happens on occasion, but just lately there's been a few, um, where people talk about the fact that they find these videos helpful and, the stuff that I post on Facebook and that kind of thing. Even, some may have had a reading with me and found it really helpful, that kind of thing. But they're afraid to to tell other people, right? Or they're afraid to like the video for fear that somebody else knows that they watch this kind of thing. Or afraid to share that. And I just want to say to that, a couple of things. I get it. I really do. It took me a while to really put myself out there in terms of, this is who I am kind of thing, take it or leave it, like it or not. And I don't really concern myself so much anymore with what people think in terms of my own beliefs and how I choose to, live my life and my worldview and that kind of thing. But I also encourage you, if you're at that place where you're kind of, feeling really hypersensitive about it and you're afraid to even, you know, like a Facebook post or a YouTube video or to share something or to make a comment because you're afraid that somebody is going to find out that you're into that kind of thing or whatever, or that maybe you're struggling too. I just encourage you to sit with that, and to kind of contemplate it and ask yourself, why is that? What is that about for you? Why is that? Why does it concern you so much, right? And just sit with that a little. Again, I get it. I really really do, but I also I think I wish for my own personal self that it hadn't taken me as long as it did to kind of, admit to myself, um, who I really am at heart and to share that with others. It's very liberating and freeing. And, I wrote in a Facebook post earlier today, which I'll speak to in a second, that it's just telling the truth about and admitting the truth to yourself is very unburdening, right? And enlightening in the sense that it helps you feel lighter and it helps us know that we're not alone when we share our truth with other people. There's a full moon approaching in Sagittarius, which is very much about the truth, right? And our truth, our personal truth. So I'll get to that shortly. I just want to say, I'm the last couple days, and you might sense it or see it on my face. I'm struggling over here a little. I'm having a rough time energetically, feeling pretty drained, pretty physically, mentally, emotionally overwhelmed these days. And I know that this too shall pass because it always does. But it doesn't mean it's fun in the moment, and there's varying reasons for that, right? If you follow me on Facebook, you saw my post earlier. And if you don't and you want to, there'll be a link below to go to the Facebook page and check it out over there. But what I want to really get into here is the astrology of the week. So what's happening this week? Well, we're in Gemini season, right? Happy birthday to Gemini sun signs. And we also have many planets that are in the very early degrees of signs. So many planets that have recently sort of shifted from one sign to the other and are in the early degrees, which is an indicator, of new beginnings on many levels, right? And I've been talking about new beginnings in over the last little while, and in the two special videos I did about Chiron moving into Aries and about Uranus moving into Taurus as well. And if you haven't checked those out, you can check those out on my channel as well. So there's that. I'm going to show you the chart right now, just so I can show you what I mean here about new, planets changing signs. I'm going to turn on this light a little bit brighter, so hopefully you can see that better. But okay, so for example, we have Mars in Aquarius here at like 2 degrees, right? So in early Aquarius, we have Saturn at 8 degrees Capricorn, which is, not super, super recent, but it's still in the early degrees of the sign. We have Venus that recently moved into Cancer at 4 degrees Cancer there. I don't know if you can see that. We've got the Sun at 2 degrees Gemini. We've got Uranus at 0 degrees Taurus, just the big shift that happened. And Chiron at 1 degrees Aries. And I already said, I think Mars at 2 degrees Aquarius, right? So you can see those are a lot of big shifts that have happened very recently. And so there is this sense of kind of newness and new beginnings. And new beginnings are not always comfortable, right? Because they're uncertain and we don't really know what to expect. And it can, feel a bit unsettling, and a bit scary, even if it's for the better, and if it's for our ultimate good. It can be this bit of rocky period of adjustment, right? These new beginnings. And so, if you're feeling that, if you're sensing that on some level, then you're just in tune. You're in tune with the way things are shifting and changing and flowing. And, very much that's impacting me personally. There's this sense of stop and go energy. There's a few reasons for that, and of kind of like, you can tell it's the start of a new era, of a new cycle, in many, many ways. But, it's kind of like walking through this forest, and we can't really see the end of the path. We don't really know where it's leading ultimately, right? And so that can be a bit, just can be a bit disorienting, right? And we can have this feeling of trepidation and also like getting out of our comfort zone, which is like, can be a bit confusing and a bit, even though we know we need to, we're not really sure, exactly how to do it, or it's unfamiliar feelings, right? And so that's kind of where we're at right now, which is exciting but scary, right? So it's this real paradox kind of thing. So there's that. And we also still have Mars in Aquarius, which is squaring Uranus and Taurus. And if you remember last week, I talked about a square being, so kind of like this. It's a conversation of tension, right? Where something's got to give. And it's like a decision-making point almost, or we need to do something with this energy. And Uranus and Mars squaring off can feel really explosive or impulsive, erratic, a bit, aggressive, like my way or the highway. I really there's a sense of urgency to this energy, right? So that's still going on. And but the thing is Mars is in Aquarius, which is about like the future, and Mars is, this driven, passionate, forward moving energy. Aquarius, um, which Uranus rules, right? But Aquarius is the sign of the collective. It's futuristic. It's eccentric. It's the rebel kind of thing. And so just wanting to go for it and do it your way. And there's this, breaking free, this liberation that wants to happen. But then we've got Uranus and Taurus is like, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, let's take it one step at a time. And, doesn't like to have its foundations shaken too much, and likes to have that stability before moving on, right? And so there's this tension between this energy going on that you might be feeling. I am very much so. What else is happening? Okay, so we have the moon right now in Libra, and then it's going to move into Scorpio on Saturday, and finally into Sagittarius on Monday, when we're going to have a full moon in Sagittarius that I mentioned right at the beginning here, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. And actually, you know what? Let's talk about the full moon first, and then I'll move on to a couple other things before closing out. So the full moon is happening on Tuesday, so just before I do the next Witchy Wednesday, right? So later on in this Wednesday to Wednesday kind of cycle. So this is the same day that Mercury, the planet of our thinking and our intellect, the messenger god, all about communications and the exchange of information and ideas and the collecting and gathering of information, is entering Gemini, which is the sign that it rules. And so when we have a full moon, right, just to refresh your memory, a full moon is an opposition. So it's where the sun and the moon are opposite each other in the sky. And so there is this polarity, this need for balancing these two sides. And it's like opposite sides of the same coin, right? And just think of the sun and the moon themselves as luminaries and as energies. So the moon is a feminine, receptive sign, where the sun is it's a more masculine, radiant sign, right? So it's about outward motion. The moon is more inward. And the moon is about our emotions and our feelings. The sun is about our actions more. And so the sun and the moon are opposing each other at a full moon, right? And so there is this polarity and this need again for balancing. So when we have the sun in Gemini and the moon in Sagittarius, to me this speaks to this full moon largely being about kind of how we speak our truth, or what is our truth. Sagittarius is a truth seeker and a wisdom seeker at its higher vibration, right? And about expanding and, going on an adventure kind of thing, exploring the new, and, ever reaching sort of further, and really about seeking the truth. And Gemini, again, it's an air sign. It's about really an intellectual sign, gathering information, very much so. And it's about curiosity, and communication. I think I said that, but I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not 100% today. Anyway, so it's kind of like, about how we know our truth and how we communicate our truth. That's kind of the way I see this. What is true for us? What is our personal worldview and personal philosophy. And do we know? Do we really know what that is? And how do we put that out there? How do we communicate that? How do we speak that truth, right? Gemini, speak, communicate, truth, Sagittarius. So how do we speak that truth, right? It can also be about this polarity about, what we want versus what we need, like our the Sagittarian kind of need for expansion and adventure and growth and just wanting it all, right? And then Gemini sort of also about wanting to know it all, and like, so there's can be this overwhelming intake of information, and our minds can be racing all over the place a little bit. But also think about the opposition in terms of you know what you want to do versus what you realistically can do, right? Um, and what you perhaps want to be true versus what is really true. Um, Perhaps what truth you are telling yourself um, versus, the actual sort of truth. Self-honesty is a difficult thing sometimes, right? And there's always a need for that kind of reflection. And so this can highlight that a little bit. And then also, because sun and the moon, again, the masculine and the feminine, the emotional versus the sort of physical. It's like our emotional needs versus our practical needs, or our physical needs, that kind of thing. And there is a square happening. This full moon is squaring Neptune in Pisces. And so, again, there's that, square is a conversation of tension, right? And so it's like we may have this tension, like Neptune. It can be an elusive energy. It's one of the planets that rules Pisces, and it can be quite healing and compassionate, and it can absorbs everything. Also very it can be very escapist, right? Pisces can be escapist, can be dreamy, that kind of thing. So are we going to seek our truth and speak our truth, or are we going to escape it, kind of thing? So there's that going on, or escape it or heal it as well, right? Neptune is also a very healing energy, so we kind of have we have some things to think about in that department. And of course, this will play out, the full moon energies will play out to people in varying degrees, depending on their own personal charts and their own placements. And just as a key, wherever Sagittarius and Gemini are for you in your chart, this is where you will feel this sort of polarity, right? Sagittarius and Gemini are opposite each other. And so whatever house Sagittarius is in and whatever house Gemini is in for you, that's where you'll feel this polarity. For me specifically, that's in the ninth and the third houses. So let's see here. Sorry, not the ninth and the third houses. I'm looking at my chart right now. See, told you I was all over the map. In the fourth and the ninth houses. So, what else did I want to say? Okay, so I just had to pause the video for a brief second because I just totally lost my train of thought. So I was saying, for me personally, I have Sagittarius opposite Gemini, actually in the fourth. So I have Sagittarius in the fourth house, Gemini in the 10th house. And as I was saying to you, third and ninth, I was saying, wait a second, that's not right. So, but Gemini is actually its natural home is the third house, and Sagittarius's natural home is the ninth house. And in my mind, that's what I was thinking. But I actually have Sag in the fourth, Gemini in the 10th. So anyway, this is the first time I've ever had to pause Witchy Wednesday. So you can just see raw and uncut here what's going on today for me. But you know, this is something I'm really passionate about and I really, really love to do. And I'm sure I'll get feedback. I got feedback on one of my videos last week about rambling on and that kind of thing. And, you know, sorry, but I'd rather just get this out to you than spend hours and hours. I don't have that kind of time to be editing and stopping and going and stuff. And I also am a big fan of, you know, tell it like it is. And this is the truth. This is my reality today. So this is what I'm sharing with you. So anyway, that's the full moon energy, right? And the last couple of things I want to touch on here are we have the first thing is Venus in Cancer, opposite Saturn in Capricorn on Friday and Saturday. So this, again, in opposition, right? This sort of back and forth, this need for balance. And so there can be this almost like come here, go away energy going on. You know, what do we value? Do we value ourselves? Do we feel valued, right? Venus is about our values and what we value. It's also about our relationships. You know, love, how we express love and that kind of thing. And then, you know, in Cancer is the sign of the nurturer and the mother and home and our roots, that kind of thing, family. So, and then we have Saturn in its home sign of Capricorn, right? And Saturn is about the structure and the obstacles and the, you know, the responsibility and very pragmatic and practical kind of energy, you know? And so we can, you know, feel a little bit blocked or burdened in the area of, you know, Venusian matters of money and resources and our values, what we value, how we are valued, as I said, right? Our self-worth, our sense of stability. There can be a bit of tension going on there as well. But the good news is on Friday, we also have Jupiter in Scorpio, which is trining Neptune in Pisces. A trine is like a triangle. It's a conversation of ease and flow. And so this is the second time this has happened. It's going to happen again in August. And excuse me, with this configuration, specifically Jupiter in Scorpio and Neptune in Pisces. So, you know, it's kind of like harmonizing these two areas of going deep, that's Scorpio, and going wide, that is Jupiter and Neptune, right? Jupiter and Neptune are the co-rulers of Pisces. Jupiter also rules Sagittarius. And so this can be a really nice energy of, you know, feeling the love and the compassion and the dreaminess and it's very spiritual energy, connecting to our spirituality. So it's a really good opportunity to do that. And, you know, doing something very creative or artistic as well. The drawback I would say here is, you know, feeling all the feels kind of thing. But because it's a trine, again, this is an easy flowing energy. So hopefully this is, you know, not something that feels burdensome. It's something that feels very spiritual and uplifting for us. And so I will leave you with that today. And I do apologize for being a little bit spaced out and all over the map. But I endeavored to get this to you today, and here you have it. Of course, if you would like to get a personal reading with me, I would so love to do that for you. I forgot to say at the beginning of the reading here that I'm all caught up on readings after my big play experience, and after I got all caught up right before the long weekend, and so I definitely have time. If you would like to get a reading with me, please click the link below, and you can check out what I have to offer. And also, I'm going to be doing, I think next Wednesday, I will announce another contest for a free reading. So stay tuned for that. And thank you once again for being here. Thanks for subscribing to the channel and for your feedback. Okay, take care, everybody. Hang in there. Bye bye.